Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle and today we're going to talk about Avatar the Last Airbender. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I feel like everyone and their brother and their sister and their parents and their friends and their siblings and, I said siblings already, and their cousins and whatever, everyone seems to be watching Avatar. I see so many memes when I open up anywhere on the internet right now, and there's some speculation forming in my head, right? Because I'm like, oh, why are so many people watching it? Well, there were 3 booktubers who all watched it, got all of their audiences to basically watch it. They actually watched the Avatar real life movie live while commenting on it. That was just classic. The one who kind of led the helm, so to speak, was Tim from Hello Future Me, and he loves Avatar like so much, and they had to watch the movie together. He was in physical pain. Like, you could see he was in physical pain. It was hilarious. I don't know if it's still up, but if it is, I'll definitely link it down below. Great times to be had. But today we're not going to comment on the Avatar real movie, which, debatably should or should not exist. We're going to talk about how those bending abilities relate to MBTI and personality. And I am really excited for this one because I have 2 different ways that I could kind of see it. I was actually having a conversation with some people in the Discord, which, if you're interested, the link is right down below. Just join us. We're nerdy and it's fun. And on the Discord, we were kind of like, hey, what would the bending types be if they were personality types? And I was like, that's pretty interesting. So what we're gonna do now is have the conversation that I had in my Discord, but with all of you guys, so that you can see what we were thinking. We can go from there. We can chat about it in the comments. We can chat about it in the Discord if you're interested. We are doing the good Young's work and spreading the word of MBTI with this video. And if nothing else, I hope that you take away that MBTI is cool and there's a lot of applications to it and it's fun to talk about. But with that, let's go ahead and actually talk about it. First is just do a baseline, just basic differences between the different types of bending and just the elements in general and how they kind of manifest and how that kind of relates to different parts of MBTI and personality. So we'll start with the most obvious, which is air bending. Aang is an airbender, right? And the key characteristics of airbending are being evasive, being proactive, being defensive, and using your enemy's strength against them and avoiding, getting hurt. And it's very much so about thinking ahead, getting ahead of your enemy and using their strength against them. I think there's a really, really great example of when Aang does this so well in the series. And that's when Ozai comes to, or who was it? Maybe the commander. They come to get him while he's at this like earthbending village. And what ends up happening, I don't even know if it's an earthbending, it's just a village in the Earth Kingdom, all right? And the Fire Lord comes in with all his people and his ships, and they're all out trying to like corral the people, whatever. And the commander and Aang are having this battle, right? And the commander is like throwing so much fire at Aang, and Aang is just like jumping all over the place. You're not really sure what he's doing. And then like halfway through, you're like, I see your plan. And what he ended up doing was getting the commander of the Fire Nation army to destroy his own ship by using his own power. Like literally all he did was lead this commander to throw fire at him and then evade the fire at last minute so that the fire would then catch, as they say, on the ships. And that is just classic airbending. It is all about using your enemy's strengths against them, taking advantage of their weaknesses, that kind of thing, while also not being aggressive, not being hurtful, not being any of that. And I think that, and we were kind of talking about this in the Discord, Airbending kind of represents intuition in MBTI, or the letter N. Intuition is all about seeing the future, seeing the big picture, seeing how things play together, and intuition is very non-confrontational. It is not one to get into the nitty-gritty. It's not one to like physically pick things up and move them. It's very much more conceptual and in its head and kind of airy. The opposite of airbending, and I think the most opposite of airbending, is earthbending. Earthbending is about feeling and being present with the environment and using the environment to your advantage. It's a little bit more aggressive and assertive of a bending style. It's much more offensive than it is defensive, though it can be both. I mean, you can use earthbending to create a shield, or you can use earthbending to, jettison someone into the air by knocking, a little bit of earth underneath them. There's a lot of different ways that earthbending can be used, and I think Toph is a really great example and really helps you understand earthbending really well. And one of the ways that happens is she's blind, right? She can't see. She feels the earth and she can sense the earth, but she doesn't see it. She's not looking at it. She's feeling it. She's becoming one with her senses, and she is able to take control of the environment to her advantage. And she is a little bit more brute strength and not really thinking it as far ahead. It's more, this is it. This is what I'm going to do right now. This is what needs to happen right now. And I think that earthbending relates best to the sensing. And sensing and intuition are opposites in MBTI as well. Sensing is about the present, the facts, the truth, the reality, right here, right now. That's sensing. In a nutshell, I'm definitely oversimplifying all of these, by the way. Disclaimer, everything I'm talking about is simplified, so just take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. We're just having a chill conversation, okay? We're just chatting about Avatar, and it's not a debate about what sensing really is or what any of these really are. I'm just trying to make it digestible, okay? All right, moving on. Earthbending is most closely related to sensing, and it's great too because they are opposites, earth and air, and intuition and sensing. They really play well against each other, and they're not really meshable. It was quite hard for it was quite hard for Aang to learn earthbending, more so than the other bending systems. And I think a lot of that is because, Ong is a really great example of an ENFP, and ENFPs have extroverted intuition as their main cognitive function. They live in the world of possibilities and the future and thinking about how things could play out. They're just in the what ifs realm, in the intuition land, and their lowest function, which can often be the weakest function. I think Aang does a really great job of showing how you can develop that weakness. At first is very disconnected from the sensing, very disconnected from the real world reality, all that stuff, very disconnected from what's actually happening, and much more often this is what needs to happen kind of land. And I really enjoy that. So next we're going to talk about waterbending. Waterbending is very fluid. It goes with the flow. It takes advantage of what it can. It's not very aggressive or assertive. And one of its main abilities is not only to fight, all of the bending can be used for fighting, but something that none of the other bendings can do is heal. Waterbending can actually heal people. They're very much more about ingenuity and, going with the flow of the moment, which could be intuition or sensing, but in our conversation, we kind of talked about how waterbending really relates most to feeling and emotions. Emotions come and go. Emotions are not always going to be the same in every moment. They're going to change, and emotions and empathy are incredibly healing, but they can also whiplash you. They can also attack the crap out of you. They can be rough. They can be sharp as ice or smooth as water. Water is such a great analogy for emotions. I mean, just in general, when we're talking about water being related to things, it does often get related to emotions. And in MBTI, I think it does relate to feeling, although feeling is not necessarily emotions as you would think in MBTI. It is about understanding the feelings inside your body. Feelings and emotions are different, by the way. Water is feeling in this speculative situation. Finally, we have the opposite of water, which is fire. Fire is assertive, aggressive, brute force, like let's get it, let's do it, let's get it done. And I think Ozai is a really, really great example of this, where he's completely ruthless, very goal-oriented, and just cares about doing it logically and doing it right and not having to repeat himself, and he's very frustrated with people who are incompetent. Fire is also very aggressive and can hurt. It can hurt a lot to get singed by fire, but it can also be really powerful and create electricity which can power things and create a source of energy as opposed to a source of destruction. It can create heat and warmth and protection. It can cook your food. It can do the things that you need it to do, but it can also hurt. It can also burn. I have been burned before by people at work, and normally they are the ones who value thinking over feeling. They're quite, you did this wrong, you need to fix it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care how you feel. You need to get this done and get it done right. I've worked with a lot of people like that, and I think that fire is very much so like that. And fire very, very well describes the thinking attribute of MBTI. They're opposites, right, of waterbending. Waterbending is smooth, it moves, it can change, it can be bad, it can be good. Firebending, it is pretty much just, here it is, brute force, strength, and agility, and these things are important, and it is the most aggressive and offensive of all of the bending. It then allows someone to get things, I mean, it's very much so about getting things done, and I think that's why it kind of took over. And in a lot of ways, is it not the fact that thinking does tend to take over? We tend to value logic and doing things in a way that makes sense more than we value doing necessarily the right thing, doing what makes the most emotional sense. We tend to do what just gets us what we want. It tends to be a little bit ambitious. Firebending is thinking, waterbending is feeling, airbending is intuition, and earthbending is sensing. This is the basic consensus that we kind of came up to. I actually think a specific member of the Discord said this, and I'm just expanding upon this, so this is not just like my sole idea. I actually related each of the bendings to a specific cognitive function. So to quickly go through what the cognitive functions would relate to the different bending styles, let's start with airbending again. Airbending, I think, most closely encompasses extroverted intuition. Extroverted intuition is possibilities. It is very changeable, very quick to change its course. It's not very stuck in one direction or the other. And in fact, it can be quite ungrounded. And I think that airbending does a really good job encompassing extroverted intuition. So then oppositely, we have introverted sensing. Introverted sensing is tradition, is doing things the way that they've always been done, sticking to the status quo, doing things in the here and now, and not really focusing too much on the future, and just doing what's right by your people. And doesn't that sound like the Earthbenders to you? Does that not sound like the Earthbenders? Do I need to explain more? Then we have waterbending. Waterbending is very versatile, very adaptable. It's able to think things through. It's a little bit slower moving than air, but it can be more powerful and more effective, and it's more diverse. It has a lot more applications. It can be both offensive and defensive. And I think that it can also be offensive and defensive. And I think that the cognitive function that most closely encompasses waterbending is introverted intuition. Introverted intuition, I mean, we often relate that to like sages and wise people. They're people who can see the future. They're people who see the big picture. I mean, as a waterbender, if you're going to use that effectively, you need to be able to see the full picture, the whole picture of what's going on. And you need to preemptively make decisions. Airbending can quickly make decisions because airbending is fast. Waterbending takes a lot of time to move it around and get it to where it needs to go. Sure, you can occasionally quickly use waterbending, But the most effective waterbending takes its time, it does the right thing, it goes in a certain path, and it gets things where they need to go. Finally, we have firebending. Now, firebending is incredibly forceful, aggressive, assertive, here and now, fighting it, duking it out. One of the best words to describe extroverted sensing is actually force, and extroverted sensing often gets wrapped up with ambition and going for things and just wanting power. I think extroverted sensing, more than any of the other cognitive functions, is drawn to power, and a lot of different theories talk about that, like socionics and so on. And I think that firebending very, very well suits extroverted sensing. Although I will say, pretty sure Toph uses extroverted sensing, and I'm pretty sure Zuko uses introverted sensing. But, you know, that's besides the point. The fact of the matter is that as a whole, these bending systems, bending powers, most closely relate to those particular MBTI cognitive functions. With that, I think I went a little too much into the cognitive functions, but I wanted to explain a little bit of my reasoning as to why I picked them. What do you guys think about these cognitive functions and personality traits? Which would you be if you were a bender in the Avatar universe? Which power would you want to have? I know that myself, I'd probably want air or water. Honestly, probably air. I don't want to have to fight anyone. I don't want to have to be aggressive. I just want to be able to evade and not have to deal with any kind of conflict. I mean, waterbending could be useful. Sometimes you do need to be in a fight, but I do think that airbending would be better, and I would like that more. What about you? What kind of bending would you like to have, or would you think you have if you were in the Avatar world? And do you know your personality type? Put that with the bending style that you most closely relate to. I want to know. Does it match with any of the theories that I threw out here today, or is it completely unrelated? I can't wait to hear from you, and if you want to give reasons, please do. I love reasons as to why you pick the different bending power. With that, thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really love Avatar, and I'm really glad that it's popular again because it's one of my favorite shows. I mean, I fell in love with it the first time that I watched it. I love Aang. I love Katara, even though she drives me up the wall. I love Sokka, although he drives me up the wall in a different way. And I love you guys for watching this and being a part of this video. And if you want to continue to be part of the conversation, go ahead and check out the Discord. Again, plug in the Discord because there's a lot of cool people on there. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe. There's going to be more content, pretty cool content coming out. So if you want to be a part of that, I'm excited for you to be part of that. I'm excited for the direction that this channel is going. And if you like personality and you like fiction, you're in the right place because you found my channel and I can't wait to have you aboard. So go ahead again, like and subscribe. And I hope that you have a beautiful, amazing, fantastic day. Bye.